The next level is a group of theater geeks playing Dungeons and Dragons. Here is your Dungeon Master, Rob Card.
Hello and welcome to the next level. This is our very first session. We're all very excited here. So we'll start with a bit of introductions and you can get to know us a little bit better just from what we're saying. So, yes, I'm Rob Card, playwright, novelist, sometimes dungeon master, and I have gathered this group of theater geeks to play some 5th edition D&D, and we're inviting you to join us in our adventures. And I'll let others introduce themselves.
My name is D. Morton. I am playing the Elven Wizard Leon Paramitha of Rotari. I apologize for the confusion later. Wanted to do a shout out to Cortana Glynn. She's the daughter of a friend of mine. I ran a game for her and her dad, and she does an awesome job with chaotic neutral, the best I've ever seen. She's great.
Hi, I'm Caroline Galvin, and in the game I'm going to be playing Gildy, who is a halfling ranger.
Hi, I'm Will. I'll be playing a half-elf, half-Golgoth character named Talon Mouse, and looking forward to some fun.
Is it my turn now?
Sure.
My name is Jessica, and I'm going to be playing Mintues, a fighter gnome.
I'm Jonathan. I am playing Tarok, who's a Dragonborn barbarian.
And my name's Rob. I'm playing Jacob, who is a human artificer.
There you go. All right. Because this is our first time in our first session, we're going to go over some announcements and thank yous. The announcements will probably be a regular thing. If we have any thank yous, probably come up from time to time if there's new people who are doing things for us or helping us out in some way. I checked earlier, and I don't think there are any announcements tonight, unless anybody wants to change their mind.
No.
All right, no announcements. Thank yous. I really want to thank Rob, who I am pretty much not tech savvy, and he's done all of the tech setup and getting us going here, so I really appreciate that.
And just for the people watching at home right now, I'm Zithil in chat, and so I appreciate your feedback on our sound. We've already gotten a few comments. We fixed them, and yeah, there we go.
All right. Second thank you is to Jessica. She's done a lot of our graphic design work. She's the one who's painting our minis who are out here at the moment. They're not finished yet, but they're coming along nicely, and I'm quite happy with them. So thank you very much for all your hard work.
Yeah.
I was also told that I should thank myself.
Well, we can thank you.
We can
Thank you,
thank you.
Rob.
Thank
Thank
you.
all of us together. Yay!
And for what you're about to do with us, or do to us.
Yes. Also, we'd like to thank Josh Hoey. If you've seen any of we haven't put a lot of our pictures up online yet, but he took a bunch of pictures of us. We're going to be sort of putting those up. Some are on our website, some will be on Facebook. So if you're seeing anything that's a shot of us, Josh probably took it and did a great job with that. So thank you.
Yay!
Thanks, Josh.
And also, Snow Conrad is an artist that we're working with to get our character portraits done. They're not ready yet, but once they're ready, we'll have them up and you can take a look at everything. So we want to thank her for all the hard work that she's in the middle of doing.
Yay!
All right, so that is the short list of thank yous for now. If I've forgotten anybody who is watching, you'll let me know, I'm sure.
And you guys watching
Yes.
there.
That's right.
All 10 of you, thank you very much.
Oh wow!
Yay.
Yay!
Now I'm nervous.
It's always great when your show has more audience members than people participating.
That was always a good night.
Yes. So one of the things that we said we might do is throw some questions out to you guys, and you can give some feedback to us, and we'll try and integrate that into the game. So tonight's question is, of the characters, whose birthday is coming up? So you get to pick who's going to have a birthday soon. Just put that into Twitch and let us know, and we'll see if we can integrate that into the game. All right. So to set the scene and let everybody know where we are, what the world is like, and what's going on. I've got a bit of a scene setting to go over. Our game takes place on the world of Amara, on the continent of Delhin. The northwest of Delhin is dominated by the Mornish Empire. Over the last couple hundred years, the Morns have grown from a small kingdom, expanding and annexing neighboring kingdoms and nations to become the empire it is today. They have conquered lands of Skeva and Dumal in the north, Hram in the east, and Vanos and Rukin in the south. And the south is really the only direction that they can keep expanding if they wish to. To the west and north is ocean. To the east of the empire, across the mountain range known as the Thurun Range, is an inhospitable land called Thurn, where there are many varied peoples, mostly live in small groups, no big nations or kingdoms, and the empire sees no use in conquering those lands. So they focus their war on the south. So they've begun conquering the kingdom of Del. They've succeeded in taking everything north of the Delva River, but the wily Delhir people have dominated the river battles and kept the Morns from moving any further south. The emperor has just turned 70, and it's a time of celebration at the heart of the empire. And yet, not all is well in the empire. The war has not gone well for the Morns this past summer. They were defeated at every battle on the Delva River, losing many of their best ships. Despite the Mornish superiority in numbers and possession of firearms and cannons, the Delhir seemed to always turn any advantage back on itself. The only real advancement from the Mornish was an attack on the seaside town of Seasal, this is on the Bay of Delva, which was completely destroyed. There are rumors of many desertions among the Mornish troops and conscripts, mostly those from Vanos and Rukin. They are fleeing into the Thurin wastes, or just generally east into the Badlands there. There's even some native Mornish who are war-weary and have deserted as well. There are rumors of fomentations of rebellion in the Hram region of Mornay, which has always been a fringe of the empire and a little tended to, and little sort of troop compliments sent out there, and yet whenever they rise up, such rebellions are usually brutally put down. Tensions in Rukin are high. Many riots against the empire, again, usually brutally put down. Perhaps most surprising is the anti-war sentiments at the heart of the empire itself. In the city of Mornas, for the past 2 years, on the anniversary of the Day of Defiance, when the 17th Fusilier Company attacked the emperor, there have been peaceful shows of support for these brave traitors. Though, even though these are peaceful marches, they are usually forcefully put down. There should be no show of support for such traitors. There's talk in the empire about the relatively sudden rise of General Brualm. His family has had generals in the army since the rise of the empire, and he's the right hand of the emperor at the moment. He went from being an unknown to his current position in only a few years, with a series of successes in battles. Now it is rumored he and the emperor are planning something big for Del. But as much as the empire affects and colors much of what happens in this area of the world, our story doesn't start in the empire. Just outside of the southeastern fringes of the empire, south of Hram, is another area which the empire has not claimed. Mostly badlands and scrub hills. It possesses a desert to one side and a shadowy forest. It's generally little tactical value to the empire. Yet in this area lays the city-state of Silver Lake, or as it's known in the local tongue, Srebrino Jezero. The city is situated south of the lake from which it gets its name. That provides clean water as well as a good source of fish and other foodstuffs. The hills to the west are rough lands, but do provide some areas for herding hardier animals, goats, sheep, and the occasional aurochs. Those hills also possess mines which produce metals and precious stones. The desert to the east holds treasures from some long-lost age for the daring who are willing to search through its perilous depths. Yet despite all of this, the Empire sees no true value in taking this city. There are no good roads to get there, only well-traveled merchant paths. Most of the trade with the Empire travels across the lake and then north and east or west downriver. The Empire fears if they take it, it will become another Hram, difficult to hold and a drain on resources. So they leave it be. Yet, the Empire is also wary of a free city so near its borders and has insisted on a strong presence of guards garrisoned there to keep watch out for any who might be trying to use the city as a stepping point for operations into the Empire. The city officials don't mind. They welcome the guards, turning a blind eye to any guards apprehending anyone for anti-Empire sentiment. They don't wish to bring the attention of the Empire down upon them, so they keep a watch for such things as well. In the city at the moment, there's word of a cult spreading its influence, spreading its influence through the provinces of Hram and Rukin. As of yet, the cult hasn't acted in hostility towards the Empire, but it is collecting those on the fringes, spouting rhetoric of pain for pain and revenge of wrongs. It is suspected the cult is based out of Silver Lake, as it has a stronger influence there. Silver Lake is a city of trade, and of those who are desperately seeking to gain wealth or find riches. It draws all sorts, some fleeing the Empire, some seeking wealth and power, some simply wishing to find an honest day's wage. The city is run by a merchant council who lets people do as they will as long as the gold keeps flowing. Since there are all manner of shady people here, and many of them with wealth and power, the guards are mostly for show. The authorities tend to look the other way if the occasional person turns up dead or missing. It's a lawful and lawless town at the same time. And it is in the city of Silver Lake that our story begins. It is... Did I miss something?
Just a second.
The current date is Karis 32nd, the 32nd day of Karis. It is a Hal's Day, Halsday. It's the 105th year of the Tavian ascendancy in the Empire. For everyone else, it's the 471st year of the Age of Restoration, or 471 AR.
We gonna get quiz later?
There will be a quiz in that your character might need to know what year it is, or what time it is, but yes, I can fill in those details.
What was the day again?
32nd day of
Karis.
Karis.
32nd day of Karis. Okay.
Karis is
Hal's
the 8th
Day.
month.
I wrote down that it was Hal's Day.
Star date 4, 5, 3.
It's early autumn. It's generally cool for the season. This is a generally warmer area. The storms have been common. Water levels are rising, but not a worry yet. The cooler summer meant for fewer sandstorms in off the desert, which was good. But now it's tornado season, and they come in from the north, and the major ones have so far missed the city. In Silver Lake, it is a very exciting time. The election is coming up, and election is, this isn't a democratic process at all. It's coming in about 3 weeks, where people vie for empty seats on the Merchants' Council, known as the Golden Council. There will also be an auction where 2 extra seats on the council are sold to the highest bidder. The city is buzzing. It is crowded this time of year. Many from the surrounding hills have come in and, most of those who ply their trade on the desert are back in the city as well. The inner city is tense. A council member was recently killed and a seat is available on the council. This could be a great opportunity for a merchant looking to gain status, but the battle will be fierce. Generally, when there's more than one person who wishes to join the council, every member who's interested has to pay 1,000 gold pieces just to be considered. At that point, the council then takes a vote as to who they will accept on. So often there's a lot of bribing and pandering that goes on to council members among those lower merchants who are seeking a seat. Most of the merchants in the city know each other, but this year there are 2 strangers in town, a haughty elven lord and lady, slightly bluish tinge to their skin and dressed in all varying shades of blues that seem to be here for either the election or the auction. And they're drawing a bit of notice. The gangs of the syndicates, gangs and syndicates of the city have been very active in the alleys, the slums on the outskirts of the city. And there's a tension in the alleys as they teeter potentially on the edge of a gang war. And that is where we will start. Before we get going too much, Jacob has a start of session roll that he needs to make. It's an intelligence check.
16.
16. Okay, I will keep that in mind for later when that comes up.
That's not ominous at all.
At least it was intelligence.
Yes, and a good roll. All right. So, in the game, Talon, you're in your small room that you rent in a shabby lodging house in Sandside Alley. You've just gotten in after a busy day of doing what you do, and perhaps you're planning on some nightly activities as well, but for now you just want to take a bit of a rest. You've just had a bit of a meal, maybe, close your eyes for a few minutes and see how that goes.
Yes.
Leon, Tor, Mint, and Jacob, you're at the common room of the Minstrel's Muse. The Muse is full tonight. The city is packed and buzz with energy, and a lot of people are in the Muse. You've come down for a meal. That's why you're in the common room. There's a new bard who's playing in from the far east, singing strange and beautiful songs. And Jacob, I'm going to get you to roll another d20.
Good luck.
8.
8.
No.
All right, good to know.
This is cool.
Now that was ominous.
Gildy has just found out there's a job she's interested in and is on her way to recruit some help. Moving through the newly dark streets of the city, few are willing to mess with you. You look like you can handle yourself, and the rifle on your back warns most away. Talon, just settle back on your bed, which is, of course, too small for you. When,
They're always too small.
when there is a knock on your door.
I will get up. Not expecting any visitors. Just stand somewhat ready, about 10 feet from the door, and yes.
Gildy, you are on the other side. What do you do?
I shout through the door, Talon, I have a job for you.
Recognizing a voice that I'm familiar with, go and open the door. The job. What kind of job?
Well, gotta go back into the forest. But this one is looking like it's gonna be a little dangerous, but the pay is good.
How dangerous?
I mean, it's the forest.
Well, when you ask, I will be there.
Excellent. I'm looking to leave first thing tomorrow morning. Make sure you're prepared.
All right. You're going to continue looking for more people. Are you going to go with her at the moment?
If she asks.
I'm just gonna turn briskly and walk away. And whether or not you follow is up to you. But you know you have to meet me in the morning.
In the morning.
At least.
At the place that we always meet.
All right.
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
I will mentally prepare and get my rest for the morning, but I will not join you.
Okay. So Gildy, you travel through the city, probably searching through Sandside first. It's where a lot of the sort of rougher swords, that's where Talon is, and where a lot of the rougher swords are. You're looking for a very specific sort of group of people. You pass by a lot of taverns that have a lot of brutes in them, but not really the group you're looking for. You make your way into the inner city and try the lower merchants district, but of course the lower merchants district is full of merchants and sort of the not quite rough sort that would be in the slums area, but those who are sort of in town and have a little bit of money. All of the inns and taverns that you go into are mostly just, well, normal sort of people that you don't think would be at all interested in an adventure into the forest. And you get to sort of the bottom of the hill leading up into the upper merchants district, and you don't really think there's going to be much up there who'd be willing to go with you, but you might as well give it a shot. And there's two main inns. You try one first, and yeah, it's all just nobles and fops and people you would not want to try to take into the forest at all. And then you try the Minstrel's Muse. And once inside, you spot a group of 4 people that definitely stands out a little bit. There's a dragonborn in this group. You haven't seen them anywhere else. And yeah, you think maybe this might be the right group for you. So you approach their table. The rest of you don't necessarily see much at first, except for maybe the crowd sort of parting a little bit, it's relatively full in here. And then a halfling appears next to your table, and I'll let Gildy take it from there.
You look like a capable group, which is something a little bit different than what I've been seeing around this town lately, and I am in need of a capable group. I have a job to do, go into the forest, find some people, and there is the potential for good pay. Are you in?
Who are you?
So, that's a good spot. Pause for a moment, and we can describe ourselves. So, what do they see when they look at Gildy?
So Gildy is a halfling, as Rob mentioned. She's on the older side. She definitely she's been traveling for many years of her life, and she looks it. So she's generally older. She's got blonde hair, and so even though she has the more diminutive frame of a halfling, like, you can kind of tell that she knows what she's doing.
All right, and at the table we have
so a fairly small, thin, almost frail-looking high elf. What part of the meal are we at this point? Are we like in the middle of?
They bring out soup and bread at least.
You're probably just finishing up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Are we at the drinks portion?
Oh, there's probably been drinks the entire time.
Well, the reason that I'm asking is because I conjure a plate and a cup. So I'm wondering, is my plate? Do I have a plate and I'm eating food, or would I have a cup?
You would. Can you have both at the same time?
No, because I can make one item.
Then you would probably just be finishing up with the plate at the moment.
Okay, so I have a plate that's glowing. That's why it's like, my plate glows in like a 5-foot radius, so it's clearly eating with a silver fork on a glowing plate. Dark black hair, pale golden skin, green eyes, looks rather fancy. Undoubtedly, like, kind of bundled more than you would expect, because it's starting to get cool. But yeah, definitely looks like someone who's more of a bookworm than anything.
So you see a gnome with mint-tinted hair, kind of a ruddy complexion. Her armor looks fairly new, but it kind of looks, if you notice the eyes, like she's seen a lot of battle. And she looks kind of amused at you submitting this request. You can't tell if she's contemplating it or what she's contemplating.
So Torok is nearly 7 feet, blue, dragonborn, but exudes a controlled calm. And it comes across as very calm, but very controlled.
And you see a human, about 6 feet tall, very average build, kind of a bit of a slyness to him. Facial hair, it's just one of those like lower beards that's really not in style, totally in style. And he's sitting there kind of back. He's on his 3rd or 4th beer. They haven't yet cleared it yet. There's a nice little collection he has going there. And while he's drinking in one hand, he has in his right hand what looks like what we would call a Rubik's Cube, and he's just fiddling it with the background.
And yes, there was a question posed for Guilty.
Who are you?
Yes. My name is Gildy. I'm known around these parts as being able to go into the forest and come back out alive, and oftentimes bringing things with me that people want or finding information that people want. And I have been asked to perform a job, and this one's looking like it might be a little tougher, so I am looking for a good, reliable group to join me who can also maybe make it back out of the forest and get paid at the end of it.
So you mentioned that it was looking for people, and you also mentioned that there was the potential for pay. I'm assuming if we survive, there's the potential for pay. Otherwise, it gets split up amongst fewer people than you bring with you.
Yes.
Yeah, so the job itself has the $500 for bringing the person out alive. That would
Dollars
be split.
or gold?
500 gold.
Yes!
That's
a lot better than dollars.
That would be split among whoever is in the group. And yes, you were potentially going to also add some to that out of your own funds if you would, if you do.
So at this point, Turok, though, straightens up almost completely. So are you saying this is a rescue?
Maybe. Depends on how alive the person still is who we're looking for.
So time is of the essence.
I would say so, yes. I'm looking to leave first thing in the morning.
May I say something? I'm not from the area, and we're talking about a forest, trees and weeds and bushes.
Gildy kind of crosses her arms and gives you a look like, are you freaking kidding me? She nods. She's like, yes, it's a forest.
And it's dangerous?
It is very dangerous.
Can someone tell me about this forest?
City boy.
Have you not heard of the Shadow Forest? That's kind of like, she gestures over her shoulder. That way.
Oh, that forest, of course I have.
Have we heard of the Shadow Forest?
Turok looks at him and goes, you haven't heard about it either.
I'm assuming I've heard of it, but I've not been.
Yeah, you probably know the name.
Yeah.
You probably know the name.
Okay. Do I know that it's dangerous? Like he's like, ooh, the Shadow Forest, that's a bad place.
You probably have some sense that it's dangerous.
Cool.
Yeah, you two would just have to.
Well, seeing the general confusion, kind of sigh and be like, well, I was hoping I wouldn't have to explain this much to a capable group, but it seems like you're the only ones I've got. So, the Shadow Forest, as it's been called of late, has been getting more and more dangerous over the years. When I first came to this area, many years ago, it was not a problem. It was a normal forest, as any. Trees and such, as you say.
Bushes.
Bushes, yes. Trees, bushes, general shrubbery. All about.
A forest.
Yes.
That's what I know, a forest.
Yes.
A striking picture.
But something has been infecting the forest. No one knows what, but it is covered in shadows. It is covered in mist. The trees are all, I hesitate to say dying. They're just becoming strange. It's hard to explain until you see it. People disappear much more than previous. There are monsters in the forest that I shudder to think about, let alone describe. All in all, a very dangerous place for someone to go missing, and we're going looking for them.
What do you think the odds are that they survived?
You know, it's hard to say. I've On the one hand, I've never found a body of people I go looking for. On the other hand, I don't often find them alive. I have encountered some people in the past who, while not being physically dead, had seemed very horribly afflicted. We managed to bring them back with a bit of a shock to their system, but they were not entirely coherent afterwards. So it's hard to say.
So we risk life and limb, or if not that, possibly our sanity?
But for a lot of gold.
And a rescue.
You can give me a history check
History check.
just to see if there's more you might remember about the forest in this moment.
Oh, yeah, that's a 3 plus 2. That's a 5.
You are quite certain that there is more that you know about the forest in this moment. You just cannot remember it right now.
It's a forest.
Trees.
And shrubbery.
And horrible bad things.
Fortunately, you cannot see the evil for the trees.
I'm imagining these squirrels that are just the most vile, evil squirrels we've ever met.
So, squirrels, you said?
Thanks.
Oh, great.
Oh, it could be anything. He'll just make it bigger. You know, like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Sorry, how much gold did you say?
Well, if we find some information, the people who hired me are willing to pay 100 gold. If we find the person, they're willing to pay 500. And to sweeten the pot, I have a little bit of money of my own, and I'm willing to pay anyone who comes with me who survives an additional 50 gold each.
Do you have a stake in this rescue yourself?
No, just the gold. This is what I do.
Could I get half in advance?
And to run off?
I was playing a card game earlier today and it didn't go so well.
No.
You could always tell your
A
friend
quarter.
you gambled with that you'll be back with the gold.
I'm sure they'll buy that. How about a quarter of it? Like 10 gold. 8, 7, 6. 6 gold. We're good.
I sigh and I rummage in my bag and I toss 5 gold coins at him.
Nice.
Just to shut him up.
I'm gonna make a mental note of that.
So,
Will there be anyone traveling with us who will be able to heal?
well, in all of my travels, I've picked up a couple healing spells of my own. Out of character for a second, Talon is not a healer.
I don't think any of us are healers.
It's a medic.
I have a little bit of healing.
All right, cool. All right, back in character, I say, yeah, I have a couple spells up my sleeve that I use if needed, and you'll note I've come back alive every time. So
It's undoubtedly pretty obvious that the elf's esteem of you has just raised like 3 notches as soon as you're like, I have spells. It's like, oh, excellent.
I know you're game. So I'm game.
If you're in, I'm in.
You already got money up front. You're obviously in.
You can still say no. I mean,
I glare at you like really witheringly.
I don't think I'm making friends tonight.
Did you want to come with? Do you feel safe enough?
Oh, if you're going, I will be coming with you.
Okay.
Then it is settled.
Great. Meet me at the edge of town. First thing.
Southgate.
Which edge?
Southgate, thank you.
Thank you.
Meet me at the South Gate, first thing in the morning. And remember, as I said, not just the forest, very dangerous. Please prepare for the darkness and evil that is within.
Okay.
And so then I abruptly turn and leave.
And as soon as she's gone, I flag up a gold coin to get another flagon of mead.
You can't get blitzed tonight. We have to go work in the morning.
I could have a couple drinks. It's lubrication
You
for
already had
adventure.
4. Oh my goodness. You don't need liquid courage. You need a nap.
Yes, after this next beer.
All right, save the other 4 for some beer in the morning, why don't you?
Okay.
There.
So it is getting into the evening. You've had your dinner. Is there anything you would like to do before you rest for the evening to prepare, or just otherwise do in the evening?
Turok would spend the evening preparing his equipment, just going through everything, cleaning it.
Yeah.
I'd make a check of all of my equipment too, but I'd also want to make sure I have enough rations for a few days trip out, because there was no mention of how long we might be in this treacherous forest.
After my last bit of food disappears, my plate disappears, I suddenly have a cup, I go and get some wine. When I go to the bar,
Mm-hmm.
wait, we're calling people over. Should I actually go? Sure, I'll go. Why not? And ask the innkeeper if they know of anyone. Do you know anyone who might be familiar with the Shadow Forest? I have some research to do.
Innkeeper is a sort of well-tended, half-elven woman named Ava. And I can't spell elf. There we go. She,
It's hard to spell.
very sort of articulate when she talks about saying, well, there's definitely some libraries that you could check out that would have the information, I'm sure. I've heard tell of some halfling who goes in there a lot.
Yes. I may have some idea who that is. Would these libraries be open this late?
Ooh, they might be. Some of the scholars, tend to take their dinner, among the stacks of books. It's potential you can find a library that's still open.
Excellent. Might you direct me to one that you think might be open?
Well, I mean, the Grand Library in the Golden Gardens is just, around the corner here.
Excellent, thank you. I'll try there.
All right.
So then I basically collect my wine and I walk out.
All right.
And I go to find...
As you're walking out, Rindle is walking in and
Right,
nods
okay.
to you.
You don't happen to know anything about the Shadow Forest, do you?
Sort of blank look on his face for a moment. It's like, Shadow Forest, that's an odd. Are you planning on going there?
Well, my friends are going, and when my friends go, I must go.
I see. I know it's dangerous. A lot of people who come in don't go out.
Yes, that is what I hear.
That there seems to be some sort of entity, living shadows that seem to infect the place. Yes, and I wouldn't know more offhand. Actually, let's just see how much he knows offhand. Nope, he doesn't know much at the moment.
I was like, roll a 20!
He's well, actually, it's a decent roll for him. So give me a moment. I'll go back here. Where was that? There it is. This is about 50 years ago. It seems that this sort of came about. That it was relatively. It was shadowy before that, but not necessarily evil, that people could remember. He sort of like, there was one little piece of information that sticks in my mind that I read in a book somewhere, and I can't quite remember where, but I read that some theorize that the Shadow Forest and the Shadow Fell are somehow connected, somehow linked. That maybe some essence of the Shadow Fell has gotten into the Shadow Forest.
Oh.
But, yes, it was an interesting little tidbit that I saw that, I don't know if that's useful or not.
Oh, yes. Certainly is. Do you know if the Grand Library would be open this late?
I was just coming from there. So yes, it's open.
Excellent. Well, that is where I'm going.
Oh, yeah, you're looking to do some more research?
I am.
Look up archivist Telnoth.
Archivist Telna.
Yes, you can tell him I sent you, and maybe you'll get some useful information.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Oh, it was a pleasure speaking with you, sir.
He smiles and goes in, and
All right.
yeah.
So I stroll off with my glowing cup.
Read by that light, right?
I have dark vision. I don't need to.
Well, then never mind.
It's just the item that I conjure just happens to glow in like a 5-foot radius. So.
So yes, you find the Grand Library, and it is quite grand. It is a massive structure with a couple sort of pillars of sort of nice marble. You go through the entrance, and there's several people in white robes that are sort of moving around, and one sort of approaches you. Is like, yes, can I help you?
Yes, I'm looking for Archivist Telnoth, please.
Oh, I shall see if he's available.
Thank you.
Runs off.
Please tell him it's rather important.
Yeah, okay. And wait about 5-10 minutes, and the person in white comes back, trailed by an aging tiefling. Sort of once sort of greenish hair is now sort of going sort of this weird green-gray, and it's sort of done up in weird sort of style around their horns. But otherwise, yeah, seems like this, an intelligent fellow. Walks with a cane, and is like, yes, how can I help you?
Yes, I've forgotten my friend's name. What is his name again?
Rindle Prestis.
Rindle Prestis?
Yeah.
Thank you. Rindle Prestis suggested that I should talk to you. I am looking for information about the Shadow Forest, as I find myself entering the Shadow Forest in the morning.
That will be interesting indeed.
It will.
I can direct you some of the works that we have, and you can do some research if you like.
Thank you so much.
Takes you in, and like beyond the entranceway, you walk in, and it is just this massive, probably 20-foot high chamber, and the chamber seems to sort of move around in sort of a large arc, sort of a semicircle, with just shelves on sort of all the outside walls, shelves in the middle. There's all the way to the ceiling, and the ladders that you can move to get up and down them. He takes you up a set of stairs, actually into one of those pillars. Hello. And yes.
Yes, you're on camera.
And once you're up in the pillar,
The whole rig almost blew.
it sets you into sort of a single room that's sort of wall,
No,
books all the way
don't.
around on the
Gonna jump
walls.
up on it.
Mooncake.
And it says, yes, sort of this section here is sort of what we've acquired on the Shadow Forest.
Right. So I take 10 minutes, I cast Unseen Servant, and I basically, between Unseen Servant and Mage Hand, just like sit down and get all the books.
Give me an investigation roll.
Sorry. I'm good at investigations. I'm going to roll terribly now and be like, yes, I learned nothing. Oh, I rolled well. That is a total of 20.
20, all right. So you definitely hear a lot of things that you've already heard. The forest contains creatures that are, creatures of shadow, creatures of a fiendish nature. Light tends to hinder many of the creatures in the Shadow Forest, so a strong source of light, whether magical or daylight, it can be useful against them.
If only I had light spells.
There are a couple tales of those who sort of been in and as Gildy had said, sort of were affected by the forest in some way. And sort of the way that you could potentially work with them would be to maybe deal a little damage to them, sort of that sort of a shock to the system, or A little less violent would be even just perhaps a subtle way of persuading them to sort of come back to themselves, or even intimidating them to try and sort of shake them out of this, or potentially magical means to sort of again try and shake themselves back to sort of who they are.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been filled with this. So the shadow element of the shadow force has sort of always been there. That's not new. You get descriptions of what's called shadow smoke, and it just sort of drifts through the forest that seems to sort of block out sort of views. The more sinister nature of the forest has come about within the last about 50 years or so. Some areas are still relatively safe, some are very dangerous. Many of the animals of the forest have been infected and sort of are no longer docile creatures. You also find sort of, you think it might be the exact same thing that Rindle read about. There's a link to the Shadowfell. It isn't much more than that. It's just sort of a theory that some scholars have had. You find one other piece of bit of information. On the continent of Delhin, there are several areas of cursed lands. A couple different areas of them, and many suspect that the Shadow Force is sort of similarly cursed. But what you find in your research is that it's not necessarily so cursed as these other areas might be. These other ones are cursed from ages long past. Some ancient historical something that has left the land sort of scarred or changed or magically infected in some way. And what's happened in the Shadow Forest is newer. It's sort of a separate, much more recent element in terms of sort of the evil element of what's lurked in what's crept into the forest.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
All right.
pretty much it.
What do I know about the Shadowfell?
Shadowfell. Give me an Arcana check.
Hopefully I don't roll terribly for this one. 13.
13. It is a place of a realm of sort of shadows, a realm of where there's sort of many elements of sort of vampires and sort of a. There are several lords of the Shadowfell that sort of rule over it. Most of them are not nice beings. It's not, the Shadowfell itself is not evil, but it lends itself towards people staying there who like to live in the shadows and darkness. So it tends to be sort of, the sort of vampire kin and those other elements that like the darkness.
Then I expand my research to the Shadowfell as well.
All right. Given how long you've been at this, it's probably approaching midnight at this point.
Okay.
Are you going to keep working at this? You might lose some rest.
I only need to trance for 4 hours.
Okay.
So I'm basically just going to keep reading until I'm like, oh, I have 4 hours left. I'm good.
Right.
That's my plan.
All right, so give me another investigation.
Yeah. I'm making the most of it.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. Investigation is good. That is a 21.
Okay. Yeah, so it's essentially a demi-plane amongst the sort of the planes of the universe that is linked to shadows. It is sort of seen as sort of a reflection or an echo of the prime material plane. Has sort of some similar elements, but sort of just again sort of covered in shadows.
And is it just magical light, or like would torches be effective?
Torches would work to see better. You're not sure if that would affect beings of the Shadow Forest in the way that like natural light would.
Okay. Do I know of any place in town where we could get magical light sources, like alchemical light?
There are a couple magical shops in town.
Okay.
You have probably perused most of them already in the day and a half or so that you've been here.
Okay.
you're fairly certain you could find a sort of a basic light source that is magical light.
Will they be opened late/early enough for us to benefit from them?
You think if you slip in first thing in the morning, you could
Okay.
perhaps find something.
Cool. Then yeah, I'll just stay researching until basically I've got until I figure maybe I've got 5 hours. I'll transfer 4 hours, then head to the magical shop to get some kind of glow sticks of power.
Mr. Forest Rave.
That's right.
All right.
Can we leave you behind?
Does the library
It's a
ever
little late for
close?
that.
No, actually.
Okay,
Yeah,
then
yeah.
I stay in the library. Until they kick
Yeah.
me out, I stay. And if they're not closing, then I'm trancing
All right.
in my spot.
All right.
Do we notice that you didn't come back to your room
I
last
don't.
night?
I don't know.
Do you notice?
So I assume it's separate rooms, so probably not.
Yes, the two of you share a room, and then I have another room.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm the
You
one who's
have a
paying for it.
fancier
So.
room, yeah. I remember.
No, I don't have a fancy room. We have the same room. It's just I get one and you guys get the other. But I'm fitting the bill, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not complaining.
I hope not.
All right. So, the next morning comes. You finish your trance and sort of, take a look at the water clock on the wall, and otherwise sort of rush out to see if you can get to the magic shop.
Yep.
You all wake up from your residences at the Minstrel's Muse. Actually, sorry, I'm going to recap just a little bit because I wanted to go over one other thing.
Before I leave the library, I will see if I can get a messenger to take a letter to the Minstrel's Muse. I couldn't
Okay.
read my own writing.
Yeah.
I'm like, Meatballs Muse? No, that's not right. To let them know that I'll meet them at the south gate.
All right. Where was that? There it is. Jacob. So this is the previous night, as you are just about to sort of head up to your room. Something catches your attention. You're not quite sure what it is, but you have this sort of strange vision that comes upon you. You're just sort of stepping over the first stair, and you're sort of overtaken by this sensory element, and it's a fuzzy picture. You see, it's like looking through frosted glass, and you think you see sort of green, might be grass, and maybe blue that might be sky, and there's a person, but you can't quite make out the details. But you hear this voice, this like beautiful voice, singing in sort of this light-hearted, jovial sort of way, light and airy, a child's voice of some aspect, and
Do I recognize it from anything I've done up to this point?
give me an intelligence check. Actually, give me a perception check.
Ooh, 18.
18. Yeah, I'll get to that in just a sec. So the sort of the vision takes you. You hear this beautiful sort of child's song, and as that sort of fades, what catches your ear is the bard singing behind you.
Ooh. It's the same song that's going on?
No, completely different song, but there's some sort of timbre or similarity in the voice that just sort of as yours fades, this sort of catches your ear.
Okay, I'm going to kind of slowly walk, grab another beer, of course.
Yeah.
And head towards the bard and just kind of get within a distance and sit there and see if there's any kind of recognition between the two of us.
Yeah. So, okay. Looking at her, she is sort of a lovely young woman, a human woman, dressed in strange, sort of foreign clothes. You've heard of the Jiayu Empire or the Jiayu Kingdom in the Far East, and you think this might be sort of, clothes from that area. But she doesn't look, from what you've sort of heard, of somebody who'd be from there. She looks like she's potentially from sort of the Empire region, the sort of the northeast, northwest region of the continent. And you sort of look and you look and you look, and there's no recognition coming to you. But sort of she, looks over, the crowd, and her eyes sort of glance at you for a moment, and then there's sort of the odd sort of look in her eyes, but then she shakes her head and looks away. It doesn't really last or anything like that. The other thing you notice, just from sort of going over looking, behind the bar, behind the bard, there is another woman standing there, looking rather stoic, sort of arms crossed, keeping mostly sort of eyes on the bard, but also sort of scanning the crowd. Definitely seems like a bodyguard of some sort. There's a nice looking sword that sort of is on her hip. Also definitely dressed very differently than sort of the people around here. Sort of in sort of a wrap that's seems like very easy to move around in, that sort of thing.
I'm going to wait till because she finishes that little bit of a set. I'm going to go grab a couple silver, kind of toss it into if there's like a little tip jar or whatever there, and just introduce myself. I'm like, that is one of the most angelic voices I've ever heard. Tell me more about that song that you were singing.
All right. She's a little distracted.
I'm Jacob, by the way, and I'm gonna reach out just to see if the guard behind makes any move. So I'm gonna reach out.
So yes, a couple things happen. You sort of start talking. She's sort of slightly distracted. She's having a bit of a drink or something, and she sort of hears your voice and sort of starts to turn. The guard definitely sort of moves quite quickly, actually, to sort of interpose between you and her. But as soon as she actually turns to you and you say I'm Jacob and put your hand out, she sort of, no, Jacob, and like turns to the guards like, you mean no, this is fine, and runs over and hugs you. It's like, it's so good to see you, brother.
Yes. You too, sister. Oh, I don't know if I should trust this person. How long has it been since we've last seen each other?
Oh, I mean, it's been. How long has it been? I'd say about 3 or 4 years. I've been in the East for quite some time.
Yes, and there was something about our departure that was. Sorry, my memory's been a little foggy. I've gone through and I'm not thinking very clearly.
Oh, you're not getting old, are you?
Yes, very.
Well, I mean, of course.
Without being while this is going on, I'm also trying to scan anything that indicated her name without me having to ask her that.
Yeah.
If there's like a now performing or one of those things in there.
Give me a perception check.
16.
We'll say there's a bit of a sort of a hand-drawn sort of chalkboard plaque at the side that is advertising Laurie Earhart. Laurie of Earhart.
Laurie of Earhart.
Lauri. And her response to, there was something about our leaving, is like, well, Roland wasn't happy at all.
No, not at all.
But, I mean, he wasn't happy when you left either.
That's understandable.
Yes.
So, Laurie, how long are you in town for?
Oh, I'll be here for probably the full month of, these weird elections that they're having are going on.
Fantastic. I took a job. I have to leave in the morning, but
Oh.
I would love to catch up and see what you've been doing for the last few years.
Okay.
We can catch up and reminisce about all those things we remember.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I'm not staying here. I'm staying at an inn in the lower merchants district, but I will be performing here most nights. So you can find me here or at what's the other inn? A moment. The Napping Gnome Tap House.
Nice. They like their alliterative names. In this
Yes.
The tagline, there's no place like home.
Oh. Okay, so I'm gonna cut short the pleasantries just so I don't stumble into
Yep.
making an idiot myself. But that's definitely in the background for later.
Yeah, like so good to see you. I mean, yes, we'll definitely
You
have to
too.
catch up.
Phenomenal.
You definitely actually give me an insight check.
21.
Whoa. Okay. You definitely notice that the sort of interest and affection that is being shown to you by Lori is being noticed by her bodyguard Yumi, and there's almost a bit of like jealousy there.
I'm going to introduce myself.
Okay.
Sorry, friend of my sister's.
Yes.
Jacob.
You notice her comment is very accented, a little stilted, definitely spoken with sort of an accent that you're not quite familiar with. Like, I am Yumi.
I am Jacob,
Yep.
brother.
Oh!
No worry.
Shakes your hand, and yeah, you sort of like her other hand sort of just rests on the sword. Like, yes, I can see the relationship, I suppose, but it's good to meet you. And like Laurie's turning towards like, well, it's like, oh, it's good to meet you. Yeah, but you definitely get the sense that there's something between the two of them.
Okay. I make my pleasantries. Head up to my room with whatever's left in my drink.
All right. So passes the night. The morning you wake up. You all get ready and start heading to the south gate. You head to.
Yes, and I realized I need to stop at the inn because my weapons are there, and I wouldn't have them with me at dinner.
Yes.
But my character has forgotten about that, possibly until I'm on my way to the gate, and I'm like, oh, going into this dangerous forest, and I need my bow.
The House of Wands.
Wait, actually, no, because I've got the bag of holding, so I can have all of my stuff in the
can
bag
have
of holding.
it.
I don't need to stop at the thing. Haha.
So you go to the House of Wands,
Yep.
which has many things more than just wands. But
Okay.
yeah, you go in. You ask the proprietor. I have that written down here. All right, what's up? I do not have the proprietor. So House of Wands. Most likely an elf, a relatively sort of stern elf male.
Okay.
Named,
High elf, I take it?
Hmm?
High elf?
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
Good. I speak in Elven.
Yes, he appreciates that. Coromandius. Coromandius. And you get the feeling that there's a lot of people that shorten that, and he doesn't like it. And he's like, yes, how can I help you? So speaking in Elven.
Yes, I'm going with friends, of course, into the Shadow Forest.
Oh, just a jaunt into the forest, are we?
No, a mission into the forest. And so I wish to procure some devices that make light.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like torches will not do it.
Torches probably would not. I have a couple items depending on your price range. Sort of takes you around, pulls a little vial off the shelf. So it's sort of thin top. It's sort of the little circular at the bottom. Clear liquid inside of it. Stoppered at the top, and he just sort of shakes it vigorously, and it glows brightly.
Okay. How brightly are we talking?
It's probably about the equivalent of a light spell.
Okay.
So he has that. He has.
How long does it glow? How often can it be used?
It can be used. I believe he sort of goes and sort of seems like he's checking his memories and sort of got along like ice. So yes, it can be used 3 times in a day.
All right.
And will generally glow for a period of about 10 minutes or so.
All right. And how much is that?
That would be about 30 gold.
Oh. All right then. Sorry, that was I thought it was going to be way more than that. Excellent. I can afford this.
I highly recommend not drinking the liquid unless you are desperate.
Yes. I don't expect that will occur. You had other things?
Yes, he sort of takes you around, and there's an odd sort of tube device that looks like it can sort of be held in a hand, and there's a gem affixed to sort of one end of it. There's a little activation rune that you can press. It says this will create a beam of light, generally in about a 60-foot cone.
Oh.
And it can be used for about an hour at a time before it needs to recharge, and unfortunately that takes about a day or so.
All right. And if you press it off, then...
Yes, you've got about an hour's usage in
All
a
right.
day. Yes.
And how much is that?
That would be about 75 gold.
All right. And that sounds good.
Lastly, he sort of takes you over and throws you sort of a ball that's about like a foot roughly in diameter, and then sort of takes it off a shelf. This can be commanded to float and follow you. It can also be shed quite bright light in a significant radius. This would be about 350 gold.
Would there be any kind of arrangement for? Do you have any? Do you have anything that needs to be done around the shop or things like that?
Make a persuasion check.
I do have skills in the arcane arts. Oh, that's not terrible. Persuasion, you say? 16.
16. Sort of looks you up and down. Like, yes, I can see that you might be useful. Unfortunately, I don't have need of much help at the moment.
Anything that needs to be mended, that kind of thing? Any advice that people might need? I am rather learned in the arcane arts.
As am I.
Oh, yes, of course, obviously.
Yeah, you get the impression from him that pretty much he's quite knowledgeable about.
He's good. He's all good. Okay.
But yeah, he's like, well, I don't usually give discounts to customers. These are well-priced items and usually worth what they are worth. But for a discerning elf such as yourself, I might be able to give a bit of something for a future favor, or that sort of thing.
All right. How much of a discount are you thinking?
Which item would you be looking
I mean, the ball that follows you sounds rather appealing, but it is slightly out of my price range. And by slightly, I mean quite a bit.
How much? Yes, true.
About double what I have.
Yes, unfortunately I could not go that much. I could bring it down to maybe about 300 gold.
All right, then I will take the other two.
Both of the other two?
Yes, add a discount, perhaps?
It's like, it was about 30 and 75.
Yep.
90 gold for the pair of them.
Done.
All right. And yes, your name was?
Leon Paramita of Rorotari.
And where could I find you if I needed those favors put in?
I'm at the Mintues Muse.
All right.
And that was 90 gold, you saying?
90 gold.
Right.
So yes, they both essentially have the effect of the light spell. One is 3 times a day for 10 minutes, the other one's about an hour a day. And it's in a, I think it's at a 60-foot cone.
Yeah, I thought that was bigger than the
Yeah.
light spell.
Light spell, I think, is only
Okay.
a few feet. 30 feet. I think it's 30 feet and then 30 feet of different light.
So the one is liquid.
Yeah.
3 per
He
day.
does warn you, since you bought it, you could drink the liquid. It is
I'm not planning on it.
mildly poisonous. You would not feel well, but you would glow.
Had me at poisonous.
Yes, you would glow for probably about half of an hour or so, and then you would stop.
No, I'm good.
Glowing or stop?
Just stop. You just stop.
Yes, you're done.
So 60-foot cone,
Yeah.
and that was for 1 hour?
Yeah.
All right. Sweet.
All right, and
All right. This is
you
my
gather.
bag.
Yes, you
Yep.
gather your things.
Yes.
You head to the south gate. At the south gate, there is a new member that most of you have not seen. Talon, do you want to describe yourself?
Absolutely. So, at the gate, you see a fairly tall person, average build for that height, about 7'4", wearing a black robe, currently a hood which is up, or more of a cloak than a robe, hood which is up, and you can't really see too much else. The cloak sort of wraps around him. It's just a figure sort of standing against the gate of the wall, just waiting.
Yes.
Are you
Luckily-
taller than the Dragonborn?
Yes.
And Turok's only comment is, that's unusual.
I think I look up at you and go, there's 2 people in there, right? You're standing on someone's shoulders and you're just hiding them under the cloak?
Yes, there are 2 gnomes.
That's what I thought.
That's right.
Yes,
Nice
and,
disguise.
Gildy would introduce.
Not sure she would.
No? So,
This will be fun.
yes, you meet at the south gate. The large figure sort of detaches from the gate and starts moving with you once Gildy is sort of leading you off. So you have a very large cloaked figure that's just following you. And right there, we're going to take our break for about 10 minutes. We'll be back shortly. And welcome back. So, our troop of adventurers has now met each other and are on their way south out from Silver Lake along the south road toward the Shadow Forest. It is a bit of a hike from the south of the city to the Shadow Forest, probably about 50 miles or so. It's actually going to take a little bit of time to get there. You can move quickly, you can move slowly. There are dangers out here. The roads aren't really patrolled by anything, but there's also farms out here. Admittedly, the farms generally don't do that well. Most of them are sort of farms for sort of herding animals as opposed to sort of growing agriculture, that sort of thing. So there are sort of hardy people that do live out in these are sort of flat lands that's heading into hills and then to the forest. So up to you how you want to proceed.
Well, we assume that you're leading the group, so set pace.
You're banned.
Gildy is certainly forging ahead. Like, she's not setting a crazy pace. She's a little older, so she's not going to be like running or sprinting. But she sets a fairly steady pace in a way that she thinks everyone can reasonably keep up.
Okay.
Occasionally she'll glance back and be like, Talon, keep up.
My stride's bigger than everyone's.
And at some point, Turok would slow down, would come to talk to you as well, to introduce himself.
I think, given the way we've left, I think I'm probably last.
Yeah.
Like, as you guys kind of went, I probably just kind of like joined the party and followed.
And so you'd see Torok slow his pace down
Yeah.
to match yours, and just so he could introduce himself, because it's rare for Torok to find someone who's taller.
Yes.
So on that note, what would your general marching order be? So we have Gildy up front.
How fast can you walk at your fastest?
Oh, well, I'm a halfling, so not that fast. My walking speed is 25.
Okay, so you're slower than me, so I can easily keep up.
Yeah. Who would like to be next?
I can be next.
All right.
And I would normally be right behind Min.
But you've sort of dropped back
Yeah.
for maybe a little bit to chat with
And
Alan.
for at
I'd
least
be somewhere in the middle.
Yep.
the first little bit, I'm going to go up and walk beside Gildy because
Okay.
I have to talk to her about stuff.
All right. So what sort of stuff are you? Well, we have two potential conversations here.
No, you guys go first.
All right.
Yeah.
So Torok goes in. Torok, it's rare for me to meet someone I have to look up to.
Yes.
Oh, the Charisma Brothers.
Two chatty Cathy's in the back there.
Keep it down up there, you two. I'm trying to think back here.
We're hearing an entire conversation of grunts between the two of them.
And actually, Torok's only comment is conversationalist. And then walks forward.
So you're back with me.
That was nice and quick. All right.
Well, I'm glad you guys went first. Well, so I should mention that you can see that the elf now has a short sword at her hip and a longbow with quiver, and also has a walking stick that glows in a dim light in a 5-foot radius.
Okay.
So
In a dim light, you said.
yeah, but like definitely like it is
But
a glowing
glowing.
walking stick.
Got it.
Yeah, I had a glowing plate before. Now I have
Yes.
glowing walking stick.
You and your glowing things.
Yep. Yes, then I come up and I'm like, Gildy, correct? That is what
Yes.
you said your name was? Excellent. Are we going to have introductions to individuals? The rather large person in the cloak behind us, I take it he's with you and not following us to beat us to death in the dark.
I say, oh, yes, that's Talon. I've worked with him before.
All right. Talon. Excellent. Yes, and I did some research last night, and then I undoubtedly go off on a long, long explanation of all the things I learned about the Shadow Forest.
And Gildy patiently listens, even though she knows most of it
Yes.
already.
So actually, this is a good point.
Oh, yes, what didn't I know?
So yes, make another history check. With advantage this time, now that you're being reminded of a bunch of things that you probably already know.
Yes. Alright, that first one is a 17 plus 2, so a 19.
19. So yeah, pretty much all of the recollections that you got last night, Gildy confirms.
All right, excellent. Should we explain some of the rules as we go for people who might not be familiar with this edition?
I hadn't been going to,
Okay,
but
cool. No, I was just curious.
if you're interested in 5th edition, feel free to grab a player's handbook and follow along.
Because GMs love to be corrected on the rules.
Yes, so I did this morning. I stopped at the House of Wands and picked up 2 items, and I reach into my bag and pull out a little vial of liquid. This will glow like the light spell. Put that in, pull out another thing that's a rod, and say, this one will shine in a 60-foot cone. Put that back. And they...
Sorry, for reference, Josh would love to hear the rules as we go.
Thanks, Josh.
Well, maybe we'll mention some bits here and there, especially if there's anything
Custom
that
stuff.
in this group that people need clarification on.
Alright. So yes, and it did cost me a pretty penny to gather these things. I obviously got them for the entire group so that we don't die in the darkness. I was wondering if perhaps you would be willing to cover some of the expenses. It was a total of 90 gold for the 2 of them. Would you consider perhaps 40 gold?
So Gildy is kind of taking this in, and she, when you mention that you went to the whichever,
House of Wands.
thank you,
House
House
of
of Wands. She's clearly like a little surprised, but like clearly also a bit impressed. Like, oh,
Well,
and she is also pleased when you show the light things, because well, that is going to be helpful, and so she looks at what you've got, and she says, well, House of Wands, eh? Well, these are definitely worth the price that you paid for them, I think. Don't know what he was asking, but and sorry, let me just check my. And she says, these items are going to be very useful for us in the forest, and so I would be happy to contribute. If you don't mind, I'd like to wait until after we come back and get paid, but you can hold me to my word. I will pay you the 40.
all right. You give me a word that you will pay 40 gold?
Yes.
All right. Then I shake your hand on it.
And I shake your hand.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Is extra gold for all of us. Couldn't help but over here. We'll talk of a little bit extra bonus.
I don't even look back at you and I say no.
Right.
And then I turn and then I say, unless you also procure things that are going to be very helpful for us on our journey. Okay. And I turn back and I keep walking.
Did you make a potion?
Oh, I did. I made a potion.
What did you make?
I have made a potion.
Oh, God.
There you are. Resilience.
Okay.
+1 to AC for 10 minutes.
Nice. So,
All right.
all right. So you continue on walking. The road eventually sort of dissipates from sort of a relatively well-established road to sort of a good, wagon path. Probably, good enough for sort of two wagons to pass each other on either side. Probably about 15 feet wide. And that throughout sort of the course of the day degrades a little bit more into. It's still probably about the same with just sort of the quality of it as you're passing sort of. You've passed the bulk of the farms that could probably make it to the city in one day, sort of thing. You're really sort of on the fringes of anybody being sort of out here.
I come forward and I'm like, excuse me, how much farther is it? As I'm like,
Yeah.
how much further is it that we have to go?
How much further is it?
It's at least you're going to camp for this night and then it'll probably be into tomorrow.
Okay, so
You've probably gone about. You're doing like a normal pace or a fast
yeah,
pace?
normal pace.
Normal pace is 24 miles a day. Actually, yeah, it's probably going to be. Actually, getting on to late afternoon. You've probably gone about 20 miles. Probably have about 30 miles left to go. So it's actually going to be most of another day before you get there.
Okay. I say, well, but we're probably in another couple hours, ending the end of this day, and then we'll set up camp, and then we've got another day to travel. Do you need to take a rest?
So when you say we've got another day to travel, my face just kind of goes.
Am I the only one who thought that we would need extra food? I'm the only one who thought we'd need extra food.
I knew how far we were going.
I brought light. That's what I brought.
You travel light then.
No, to be clear, you came from the west.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Never
you
mind.
came from the west of the city. so
I
you actually-
brought food because I figured it
Yeah.
would be a multi-day journey.
Yeah.
Depending on how long it becomes, I might run out.
Because I am a ranger,
Yes.
I can, where is it? I can find, there it is, I can find food and fresh water for myself and up to 5 other people each day, provided that the land offers berries, small game, water, and so forth.
Food berries on the shrubs.
This is pretty sparse land, but you can eke out some. It's not going to be pleasant food, but it'll be enough food to feed people.
And can I argue I got extra food
Oh,
for...
you have your rations, yeah.
Yeah, but did I just get them for myself, or did I get them for these people?
I don't know, did you?
I didn't actually say I
Oh.
did, so
All right.
I got enough for me.
Yeah.
I'm covered. You don't have to hunt for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yes?
Oh, no. We haven't stopped for a meal yet. I take
No.
it.
Well, you stop for the midday meal. You have to stop for that.
Okay, and we're eating like twigs and berries.
Well, I assume you have
and she's pulling out
a normal amount
rations.
of
Yes.
rations.
Okay, then I'm definitely going to be like, hello.
Hi.
Might never have to be able to partake of some of your rations.
I suppose it'll mean I'll run out faster, but your money kind of paid for them, so okay.
So,
All
Rob,
right then.
in terms of my experience, I might be from the West, but I'm assuming I've probably accompanied Gilly in the past. Going.
You've stayed mostly in the city since
Oh,
you
really?
came,
Okay.
so you
Oh, fair enough.
haven't
Are
actually
you gonna
gone this
hunt for
far.
your...
Okay. All right.
I've got some rush.
Whenever we stop for the meal, then I definitely do introductions for people and just
Yeah,
introduce everyone around. I'm Joseph, I'm Leon Paramita of Roratari, and this is Gildy, as everyone knows, and this gentleman is Talon, correct? Yes. And then we have Jacob, and we have Tark, and we have Mintues.
Hmm.
And you're...
Hello.
You have a second name, though, right? Because you're two gnomes, one standing on the other one's shoulder.
I didn't actually say that before. I was joking.
Okay.
I heard you say it.
Yeah.
I heard it.
I didn't say it in a Talon voice.
Alright.
Oh, and
Well,
then
Mid's still pretty convinced you are.
at the meal, my walking stick disappears and becomes either a plate or a cup as I need it. And I don't, like, if you're like, here's a plate of food, I am like, put your stuff onto my plate that I have created and use a silver fork to eat with.
Can you use a glowy plate to like fend off the evil of the forest.
It's dim light in a 5-foot radius. So I looked at that and was like, that's not going to be enough.
And as we're settling down, I pull out the jug from my thing. I'm like, so for dinner tonight, as an accompaniment, if anyone would like, you have your choice of beer, honey, or mayonnaise. Now, I can only produce 1 gallon of honey, but I can produce 2 gallons of mayonnaise. 4 gallons of beer.
But you don't have to roll for that. You can just do.
Yeah.
I'll say one thing, and then I'll be able to do something different tomorrow.
Okay.
Gildy looks at you and she says, I think I'll go with the beer if you're offering.
For sure. Okay. So I
Alright.
screwed up.
All right, so
Tor is looking at the plate of provisions because he's trying to ration out the few rations he has. He's having some of what you found. Yeah, honey.
Too late. Beer was made.
Honey tomorrow.
all right.
But we do have water to drink, right?
Yes, you
Okay.
probably all have full water skins.
All right.
That we're going to last you at least for a few days. Where you come across streams every now and then. There is some sources of water.
What about mead? You know, that bridge between the two, between honey and beer.
You would think.
No?
We can make one day and wait.
Yes, beer, honey, and when you put them together, mayonnaise.
So is there any effort to be made for making up camp or anything like that? I take it we don't have tents or...
Well, so before you get there,
Okay.
it is getting late. The sun is just starting to sort of set behind the hills that are sort of rising up to the west. And there is, there's been a few scattered farms out this far, but not many. But you do see a couple buildings off the road to your left. And as you're approaching, there's a voice that calls out and a figure that comes running up to you. It's like, hello, hello? Yes, can you help at all? Hello?
And Tor says, what do you need help with?
The creatures came up out of the ground. They're attacking my flocks.
Blocks of
Gildy
what?
jumps up and she says, what kind of creatures?
I don't know, strange big insect things.
Ah! And at this point, Tor is not looking comfortable. I hate insects.
Gildy says, how many?
I think there were 3.
There's more
Gildy
of us.
turns to the group and she says, this may be a good opportunity to test your mettle before we go into the actually dangerous forest.
You do notice that the farmer has the shirt sleeve has been sort of burned away. It's sort of in tatters. There's some burns on his arm.
Like acid?
You can make a medicine check to try and figure that out if you'd like.
I can also do this.
Can we medicine check?
Can we make any kind of a check to identify what he's talking about?
Just from his vague description, at this point, you're thinking some form of giant insect. That's
So, Tor rolled a 19.
Didn't even have to roll for it.
It sounds like a giant
13,
insect.
19. The 13 is like, I think that might be an acid burn. Could be any sort of burn. You're fairly certain it's an acid burn.
I hate acid.
You hate
Tor
insects and
hates
you hate
everything.
Might you be willing to consider allowing us to stay at your farmhouse after we
Whatever,
read
as
through?
long as you help, you can stay on my barn. I don't care. As long as I have some goats left at the end of this, you can have some goat meat too.
Sold! Deal. We shall definitely defeat these giant insects. How bad could they possibly be?
Don't say that.
Guilty almost says something, and then she's like, just show us where.
All right. So he sort of he takes you. There's a sort of a smaller farmhouse here, a larger barn, and a bit of sort of a trail.
I'm so tired.
The gentleman that's coming up. He also has a wife and child that are sort of hiding behind the barn. And he sort of takes you down the path.
I am
And-
not in the front.
Yes. And in the fields, off in the distance, you can see these are not actual things. These are spiders, but they're not spiders. Three, and I mean, as far as you can tell, they're what he described. I'll bring up the description here. Enormous, many-legged insect, antennae, sort of clawed, sharp legs. It seems to be sort of the front part of it seems to be sitting sort of semi-upright. And it's got these, big mandibles that are coming out, and they are like gorging themselves on like 2 or 3 goats that they seem to have killed. The rest of the goats have scurried off and away. Yeah, and there's definitely ruptures up from the ground. They seem to have come up from the ground to attack these beings.
Okay.
On the way to the fight, I'm going to
Yeah.
take that potion of resistance that I created. I'm
Yeah.
going to give it to Torok.
All right.
Oh.
Because you're the one who needs it.
Should we figure out where
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
located behind him?
Yep. So he sort of leads you out and says, "The board's over there." So yes, how do you follow him out? So who's first?
Me and you?
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Two little first.
Okay.
So you sort of get to there. You're about. I've got my little measuring thing to figure this out.
And then
I have a
I
range of 80
followed
with my
Gildy's lead.
crossbow.
Yeah. You're about 60 odd feet away from them.
So I could open fire with the crossbow potentially.
Yep.
and then Torok is up there as well?
Yeah, a little, mostly. Yep. Not looking too happy about it.
Is he hanging
Still
back?
sliding hide behind the house. Yep.
I'm coming in, yeah. I just need to get within 120 feet, so
All right,
I
so
can
you're
hang
about
back.
there, and you can see them. Yep. And where do you want to be?
I mean, I guess I can fit right there.
All right.
Surrounded by
So yeah, the man
Yeah.
sort of points to the mouse like, "It's over there. You please take care of them." And then he pretty much bolts off in this direction to run around behind the barn. All right, let's roll initiative.
17.
I have a 26.
Okay.
Nice.
There we go. You're be all very happy that the first 2 rolls I rolled were slightly cocked. All right.
I rolled a 15. I have a plus 7. And I have a dread ambusher. I don't know. That's what it says.
Yeah.
I have pretty high dexterity.
All right. So initiative order 20 to 25.
26.
26.
Just a heads up, chat is very concerned about the safety of the goat. We need to save the goat.
All right.
All right.
Goats are important. Save the goats. 15 to 20.
Save the goat. Save the
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry, that was me. 17.
17. And that is done. All right. 10 to 15.
14.
14.
10.
10. 5 to 10.
5.
7.
Sorry, who was the 10 and 14 again?
I was 14.
And I was 10.
Remembering your characters' names. There we go. Torment. Right.
Torment.
All right. Gildy, you're up first. You're about 60 feet away from them. What would you like to do?
60 feet. I am going to use my swift bow.
All right.
So that is a... Oh, well, that's a natural one. Which is an 8.
Oh no.
Our first attack.
Right away.
First stream.
Hopefully that doesn't hit the goat.
So Gildy, in a way that inspires confidence, swiftly, takes off her bow, strings it up, notches an arrow, fires it, but just goes nowhere near any of them.
Now we're gonna test your metal.
No goats were harmed in the of that shot. Yeah, that just goes off into the night, sailing away. Like, we'll say it was a good 30 feet over their heads. They were just way too high.
Okay, cool.
But you get another shot.
I have an ability called Dread Ambusher, which lets me,
And the swift bow you can use a bonus action to take a second shot.
Oh boy, does that mean that I can take 3 attacks?
Because the Dread Ambusher allows you to take
It
another
says,
attack on the first round.
at the start of your first turn of each combat, your walking speed increases, which lasts until the end of the turn. If you take the attack action, you can make 1 additional weapon attack.
Yep. So you can make 3.
Nice.
Okay.
3 ones. Here we go.
Okay, so that's a 12 plus 7, so that's a 19.
That hits.
Okay, and this gets 8 plus 3, which is 11, plus 2, which is 13.
13. You're aiming for the one on the left, the center, or the right, sort of according to where you are.
Left.
Left. Okay, 13 damage. Yeah, that sort of sticks into sort of the armored sort of cheetah shell that it's got. And it seems like, it sort of rears back because that is definitely sort of is aware of other people around now, and you have another shot.
Yes, I do. That one is a 14 plus 7, so a 21.
Yeah, that hits.
And that is 10 damage.
All right. Same one?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, definitely starting to look quite hurt.
Okay.
Next is Talon.
Alright, Talon takes a step to the side so he's got a clear view of the insecty things.
All right, you can sort of step forward or step. Yeah, you're here. You'd be sort of where somebody else is, but.
Well, I just need to move far enough that I've got a clear shot, so I'm not worried about trying to take 2 actions.
All right, so you can sort of step through there. Yep.
Sure. All right, and then he draws a boomerang from his belt.
All right.
And he throws the boomerang at the same insect
Yep.
that Gilly just shot. That would be a 20.
That hits.
Excellent. 4 damage.
4 damage. And then roll your percentage.
Yes. And it comes back.
All right. Yeah, so you notice this strange throwing stick that Talon throws and spins, and it hits the thing and sort of cracks off the shell, and then sort of spins in the air sort of for a moment, and then comes back.
Ooh. Fancy.
Next is Mint.
Okay, so is my ability to shoot still unobstructed?
Yep.
Okay. I'm just asking because Talon's kind of a big guy. So.
I mean, I could have stepped to the side. It doesn't
Yeah.
really
Well,
matter.
so you take another step this way, but yeah, you're essentially still
Okay.
a ways away.
I just don't want to
I
accidentally
wouldn't
shoot anybody
intentionally
in the
step in
butt.
front of someone. I just wanted to
No.
make sure I had a clear shot.
Okay. Cool. So I'm going to get the crossbow. So that is 17 total.
That hits, yep.
Okay, and damage.
Are you aiming for the same one?
I'm going to aim for the center one,
Okay.
assuming it has a goat in its mouth.
It does.
All right, I want to stop that.
The goat's dead already.
All right, so that's a total of 8 damage.
You could have some of that meat. 8 damage?
And I also have an ability,
By a giant bug.
Might be
action surge,
acidic.
which I can do once before a short rest.
be
So I
Yes.
can take an additional action, so I'm going to shoot again.
All right.
That one is 22.
That hits. You guys are
D8
going
again.
well. That's been the
That
first
one
roll.
is only a 4 damage.
All right. It's starting to look hurt. Definitely got a couple crossbows sticking out of it, looking upset. Tor, these are pretty much nightmare insects. What
So-
do you
But
do?
you took a
So-
potion of resilience. You're safe now. It
No,
protects you.
no. He's getting to within, just within 30 feet,
30 feet.
and with no one in front of him.
All right. We'll just sort of measure that out here. So 30 feet away from them, it's you about 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So you're not even within 30 feet yet after having moved 30 feet.
Okay. So he will hold his action for this round.
All right. So moving up slowly, carefully.
Creepily.
But
You're
if
standing in front of me now.
If you're a barbarian, don't you move farther than 30?
Oh, that's potentially true. What is your speed?
I have a 30-foot walking speed.
Yeah, I don't think it increases until higher levels. Right? All right. We can double check that, and we can check the book for that.
It could be impeded
Jacob.
by your armor if you're wearing any armor.
Jacob, what would you like to do?
I'm going to break out my Rubik's Cube.
Yep.
I spin around a little bit, and as I point it forward, a little latch pops up, and a firebolt streaks
Ooh.
towards one of the...
Oh, all right.
Nice.
Yeah. All right.
That's my primary attack.
Yep.
17.
17 hits.
It's not until 50. I thought it was earlier.
6 points of damage.
All right. And which one are you aiming for?
The one that looks the most injured.
All right. So the one that's been taking a lot of hits on the
Yep.
left, and how much? 6.
6. Fire damage if that makes a difference.
Yeah, sort of scorch mark. It's starting to look quite hurt and sort of it's reeling at this point. I cannot read my own writing. Who hasn't gone yet?
I haven't.
There we go.
Alright.
Leon, that's what that says.
Alright, so I'm going to walk up
Yeah.
the side of the barn. onto the
Okay.
roof.
Is that spider climb?
Yeah, with my boots.
Oh yes, yep.
So yeah, I just walk up the side of the wall, up onto the roof, and then I shoot it with my bow. Which one has more arrows sticking out of it?
The one furthest to.
I'm shooting that one.
Just give me a quick acrobatics check, just to, because the roof is got a fairly steep slant to it, so just to sort of get your bearings on the roof. I know
Okay.
you've got your boots will keep you safe, but just so
Yeah.
you're sort of
19.
yeah, you're good.
I wish I had had that for my attack.
Ah, well,
If I miss, I'm blaming you.
you can do that.
1.
No, I rolled it. I can't. I have a total of 20.
All right, you're good. And you're firing
Yeah.
a
Longbow.
longbow. All
Yep.
right. For 1 point of damage.
4 damage.
4 points of damage.
Yep.
That guy's not looking like, yeah, he was reeling before, and that shot sort of knocked him back a little bit. I'm gonna actually push him back sort of 5 feet, and make an insight check with disadvantage because you're trying to incite a giant insect of some sort.
Insight. Total of 19.
You get the feeling he wants to run. He wants to go away. He's not.
Alright, cool.
Okay. And now they go because they rolled really low.
They're going after me.
Yeah. All right. So they are not happy that they're being attacked. This guy is going to just burrow into the ground and sort of otherwise disappear. He is not happy. There you go.
Well, then it's just clear that I'm not.
Yep.
I'm above.
But the other two are thinking, maybe you guys might make a bit of a fun meal. So, 30, Right, and
Oh no.
Yep, I think they'll be able to make that. Let's see if they're within 30 feet now. Oh, just. Okay, so,
It was nice knowing you.
the,
Nice chat we
the
had.
one on the right, sort of opens up this weird sort of cluster of, teeth and claws in its mouth and spits acid at Torok.
It's a good thing you took that potion of resilience, right?
You must make a dexterity saving throw.
I'm so glad I'm up on the bar.
No, rolled a 9. It's 9 total.
9 total. You take 9 points of acid damage.
I have a nice scar now.
Yep. And I don't think the other one is actually in range. I don't think he's 30 feet from anybody. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt and say no, that you're not in range. You're just on the edge of the range. So he's probably going to actually move double and move up. So, just sort of get to there. Charging in at you guys, not happy at all. All right, back to the top, Gildy.
So she's going to aim at the one that's closest now, still with her
Yep.
bow. And her first attack is a 22.
Definitely hits.
And that does 4 damage.
Okay.
And then her second, with her bonus action, is 17.
Yep, that hits.
And that is for 9 damage.
All right. That guy is starting to look quite hurt as well. Talon.
I will follow up on the
Well,
same.
sorry, Gildy, did you want to move or do anything else in your turn?
Yeah, I should back up a little bit.
All right. You want to just back up sort of along the wall of the barn here?
Yeah.
How far do you want to go? You move up to 25, so
Yeah.
it's about to the corner.
I think I'll go like 15 feet.
Oh, there.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Talon.
I'm going to move sort of across, so in front of where Gildy is now, but
Yep.
like past,
Yeah.
but a little bit further back, so I'll be maybe just over 30 feet away from the that same insecty thing.
Yeah. So move over here. Okay.
So I'm out of the way of their approach. Ish. And I will attack it with my boomerang.
All right.
Probably not 13.
That misses. Roll your.
It goes back.
Okay, so again, it sort of misses, spins around in the air a little bit, and then comes back. Anything else? You moved, you attacked. I don't think you have any.
That's it.
You potentially have some bonus action things you could do.
Not that I will do right now.
All right. Mint.
Okay, so I'm down to 1 action per, but poor
Yep.
Tor is ouchy.
Yep.
So I'm going to shoot at the one that's directly in front of him.
Yep.
Better hope I hit it good. I did not hit it good. 9 total.
All right, that's a miss.
Sorry, Tor!
Not so good this round. Did you want to move to anything else?
I wish I could just run up and pull Tor back, but I know that doesn't necessarily work.
You could haul on a leg as hard as you can.
I could try. Just pull him out of there.
He's not holding it together all that well. You may want to think better of it.
Oh, you think if I come up from behind you, you might freak out?
I'm more worried he might not notice you're there.
Oh. Yeah, Tor might be in fight or flight mode, and I don't know if I want to find out which. So I'll hold my ground.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
And Tor.
So Tor steps so they're all lined up in front of him.
So over here.
And if anyone, does anyone here speak Draconian? Okay, you hear the curse word that you have probably not heard spoken often as blue lightning shoots from Tor through the two of them.
Nice.
Ooh, nice.
So you need to make a save.
Hmm?
What's the save for that?
Hold on. Breath weapon. It's a Dex DC 13. Half damage on success.
They both fail.
Nice.
And they both take 8 damage.
All right.
Nice.
8 lightning damage. Yeah, it sort of crackles through them. This guy here, really looking sort of quite hurt, and sort of scarred, charm marks from the lightning. Guy in the back is like, nah, that was not good, but I'm okay. Anything else you're doing?
Well, still stating they're shaking,
Yep.
but and barely holding it together at this
All
point.
right. Jacob.
Once again, I take my Rubik's Cube,
Yep.
flip it around in the air, spin it in the air, and it shoots out a big pile of grease centered on the back one. So, grease spell.
So like a 10-foot.
10 foot. Yeah. Is it possible to get both of them? Or just are they too far apart?
I think it's a 10-foot cube.
10 foot
square.
or
Radius or diameter?
10 foot radius, I think. I'll double check. It is 10 foot. Oh, a 10-foot square centered on a point within range.
Yeah. So.
So no.
Yeah, you get like sort of 2 of them, or yeah, you pretty much get that one.
So I'll get that one for sure.
All right, there's some grease there.
You looking a wheelie.
Yeah. All right. So he's been all greased up. Leon.
Well, I think he needs
He
to make
gets
it.
a. So
Oh, he gets a saving throw, right?
And if he fails his dexterity, he falls prone.
That's correct. And what is the DC?
What is
There
the
we go.
DC?
I'm going to assume he makes it. It was a 19, so.
19. Yeah. My proficiency bonus is +2.
All right. Leon.
How hurt is this guy?
He's looking pretty hurt.
Like as hurt as the other guy who ran away?
Roughly, yeah, sure.
So like he'll die soon?
Potentially.
And that guy's not hurt at all.
Correct.
Really?
Well, he's been just hit by lightning.
Is the grease flammable?
No, I don't think it catches fire.
Aww.
But if he ends his turn there, he has to make another slip.
Yeah.
Or if he moves through.
Yeah.
All right.
There. Yeah. All right.
Actually, it would have been there because he
Yeah.
was in line.
Oh, that's true. Yes.
Yeah. Fine. I will cast a spell.
All right.
So I'm just going to use a dice to represent. There's basically a. What kind of ground is this? Like, is it grass?
Yeah, it's like scrub grass.
Okay.
Whoa!
But it's not like there's not a lot of loose dirt and stuff like that here.
Yeah, you could pick up some dirt.
I'm hoping not to. So, yeah.
You're gonna cast your whirlwind.
Yeah. So yes. So basically, a little tornado appears there.
All right. He needs to make a save.
No, not yet.
Okay.
Anyone who ends their turn within 10 feet. So that's where if it comes up and attacks him,
Yeah.
it will have to make a saving throw or else get pushed away
All
and
right.
take damage. And if this one moves forward and is within 10 feet of this when it finishes its movement,
Right.
it will take damage and get pushed away.
All right. Okay.
But if
that happen
there
to-
is a lot of loose stuff, then it will create a dust cloud.
it will probably do that. Yes.
Okay then. Oh wait, and it's within 5 feet.
Okay.
It's within 5 feet, so then I would actually
Move
put
it
it
slightly.
there.
Yeah.
So Torok is not in danger of it.
But yeah.
But yeah.
Anybody moving?
So yes, if it moves over sand, dust, loose dirt, or small gravel, it sucks up the material and forms a 10-foot radius cloud of debris.
All right.
The cloud heavily obscures its area.
So
So
Thorak
we-
would be in the cloud of debris.
He's having a bad day anyway.
So unfortunately, we can't see him anymore. But I'm on the roof, so I'm going to say, I'm like, oh, it's grass. I don't think there's... Oh, darn.
All right.
Sorry! I say in Draconic, I'm sorry, Carl! Sorry!
Maybe the cursing continues.
All right.
Don't move forward, please!
Stay
So-
where you are.
This one is going to move to about there. Because he didn't shoot acid last time. And let's see who he can get in 30 feet. That's two of you. All right. So, Torok and Talon can both make dexterity saving throws.
Does the tornado do anything?
Yes, the tornado would do stuff to it.
Yeah, okay, good. And actually, well, hold on, because I'm realizing it doesn't say adjacent, it says within 5 feet.
Yeah.
So I figured that must mean that this is within 5 feet of it. Right? Like here, must be within 5 feet of it, because it doesn't say it has to be adjacent.
No, it would just be like this cube of 5 feet. That would be 5 feet away.
Oh no, I'm falling.
Yeah, so this
So
would
it
be-
does have to be adjacent to it.
Within 5 feet is adjacent, yes.
Okay.
17.
So,
or
but
12
is it?
on dexterity.
But it is going to be affected by it.
Yeah. I
Okay.
mean, so what is the reading on it? Is it at beginning of turn, end of turn?
If it ends its turn within 5 feet.
So no, it would not. It is moved out of the range.
Yeah. And any creature that ends its turn within 5 feet of it must make a strength saving throw.
All right. And Talon.
13.
All right.
Oh, sorry.
Dexterity saving throw.
15.
All right, so you make it, and you had a
17.
You both make it.
Yes.
So you take half of 8, which is 4 acid damage. But this guy, he's going to try and move through the grease unsuccessfully. So he falls prone and is not happy.
Now, although it would be in the cloud of debris, which means that it would have,
Yeah.
so it wouldn't be able to see because it's heavily obscured. So it-
Yes.
Okay. All right, gotcha.
Yeah. That guy falls down. He's going to use half of his movement to get up. And then from there, probably try and sort of navigate out a little bit, but ends up sort of moving almost backwards just to get out of the area. And otherwise, falls down, gets up. We still have his action left to do stuff with. His acid did not recharge, and he's not close enough to anybody, and he's used up all but most of his movement, so he's going to go like there. And actually, no, he'll use his action to move, so yeah. 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and get up right next to Turok. He's still sort of in the semi-obscured area, and can't attack this round, but is otherwise next to the person who is not fond of insects.
I'm sorry.
Gildy. There's a obscured area sort of in this area.
If I move out here,
Yep.
will I be able to see them?
Yeah, they're sort of on the edge of the obscured areas. If you move like that way, then yeah, you'd be able to see them.
Okay. I would like to use my movement to do that.
5 is about there, yep.
And then, as usual, I will
Fire 2 shots.
yes.
Alright.
The first one is a 12.
That misses.
The second one is a 21.
That hits. And which one are you aiming for?
Oh, I'm aiming for the one that is more hurt.
Alright, so it's actually this one here. Yep.
Okay. And that is an 11.
For damage?
Yep.
Alright. That guy falls down. He's not happy. He's dead.
Yes. I'm happy.
Not happy. Definitely dead. Talon.
Alright, I will do similar to Gildy. I
Yep.
will move maybe 40 or so feet that way. Just straight up.
Just
whatever.
straight, so straight that way?
Yep.
40, yep.
And I will throw my boomerang at the last insect
All right.
that's standing there. Not well, that's 11.
And roll for
Oh,
boomerang.
yes. And it misses, it just keeps going.
Yep. So yes, this time the boomerang goes past, and sort of you have a clear shot of it coming out of this side of the nice obscured area, and it just sort of keeps going, keeps going, keeps going. You're like, ah. Usually you come back. No, you're not going to move. Okay.
Interesting.
Yes. Anything else?
No.
All right. How many hours? Two. All right. Mint.
I can't see the insect,
Not quite. No.
and I can't quite see Tor.
Not quite.
So I'm going to move 30 feet in that direction on the outskirts
So
of
this
the
way?
debris
Yeah.
to see if I can get a better vantage to tell where anybody is.
30.
So now can I
Yeah.
make
You
out?
can. You sort of it gets the insect on that side of things.
So then I will take aim at the insect. I don't think I hit it. That would have been 12.
Oh, misses.
Dang it. I'll
All
chalk
right.
it up to the debris.
Tor. There's a cloud of debris swirling around you. One insect is dead. The other one's right in your face.
And so, one of them is actually dead.
Yeah.
I'm going to roll to see if he loses his shit. First of all,
Yeah.
as a free. No. Oh. Okay. You rolled a 19 on not losing his shit. So at this point, he's going to look like he's losing his shit and
Yeah.
beat the thing with a hammer.
All right.
And no, you did not hit.
Yeah,
Missed it.
everybody on that side can see Tor just like, grab his hammer and just like whack the ground, like the ground shakes. There's this big cloud of dust, just like. Yeah, dust just sort of gets thrown up and then caught in the storm. Yeah, Jacob.
Can I move to get a clear shot at the insect?
30, yeah.
Within 60 feet, right?
Yeah, you're right now within 20 feet now.
Excellent. My cube opens up and looks like a little kind of antenna ray, and shoots this sickening green bolt of energy at the.
All right.
It's a ray of sickness, which also horribly misses.
Yeah, no, she that way. Yeah, okay, so Ray sort of just blows right by. You can see the end of the ray sort of come out of this side. Dust disturbance, and it's your
All right.
turn.
Cool. Can I see it from where I am?
Make a perception check with disadvantage.
Okay. As a bonus action, I can move this thing.
Yep.
Can I move it away, shoot, and move it back?
No, you'd be able to move it away and shoot, but you wouldn't be able to move it back. Or you could move it away and move it back, but you wouldn't be able to shoot.
All right. I will make a perception check with disadvantage. That's total of 10.
All right, you think you can make out a shape
All right.
through the debris
So I
that you
can-
think is an insect?
So I can shoot it with disadvantage?
Yep.
All right. I will shoot it with disadvantage.
Oh.
All right. I hit anyway.
Yep.
First roll was a
Not critical, but
first roll was a 20. I do another 4. But then I move this. So will it be affected by it if it's there?
yes.
Okay. Then I move it there, hoping that it stays where it is as it attacks, so then it gets pushed away.
All right. And that'll be at the end of its turn.
Yes.
And
If
it's
it
gonna
ends
go.
its turn there,
All right.
has to make a strength save or it gets pushed away.
All right. It is
Is
going
Tor
to.
unaffected by it?
No.
Tor is not affected. It's far enough away from him that it's not affecting him, but it is affecting it.
Yeah, it's sort of trying to grasp at you with these like large, jagged mandibles.
That's scary.
Oh, that's gonna hurt.
But they are both obscured by the cloud now.
So we can't see how much
We don't
it
see
hurts.
that. Yeah.
Sorry. Does a 25 hit you?
AC 16 at this point.
We've got a +1 to your AC.
Also,
potions.
since it's applicable, remind me how we're doing criticals. Is it roll? We're
It's
gonna
rolled for both, I think.
roll for both.
Yeah,
All right.
personally I like roll for both because then if you
Yeah.
you roll a 1 and you're not like,
Yeah.
oh, I did
Yeah.
2. You can roll a 1 and then still hopefully roll something decent in the second one.
For 18 slashing damage,
How's Tor doing?
Oh, Tor is
Tor's
about to lose his shit.
plus
Oh no. Or Tor's about to be dead.
8 acid
Tor's
damage.
Yeah, Tor's done.
You are a larger, smaller creature. You are grappled. So your
Oh, grappled.
your dead body is grappled.
No, this will be. I really hope it fails its saving throw. A strength save, because that would be awesome.
Oh yes, it's going to make its strength saving throw, which it is a 10. I'm assuming that fails.
Yep, it fails! Sweet! So basically it comes sliding out of the cloud, grasping Tor. It's like, oh, that didn't sound good.
You hear this crunching.
It's 10 feet.
10 feet?
Yeah.
Alright, so you hear this bone crunching. There.
But it does take 5 damage as well.
Okay.
So if that kills it, that would be amazing. Oh darn, because that'd be awesome. It's just like, hello everyone.
Yeah, you all in this obscured area, you hear this bone crunching, armor mangling sound, and then it appears sort of pushed sideways. It's got many legs, so it's sort of just scampering sideways with Tor grasped and sort of limp in its jaws. And he has definitely lost his shit. Okay.
And Draconic, I'm sorry!
All right. Back to Gildy.
Wow. Well,
you can see him now.
she's a little concerned about poor Tor.
If we can't handle these things, how can you trust us to go into the Shadow Forest with you?
I'd like to move such that I can get a clear shot at the spider, at the insect
So
thing.
we'll say it's actually like there. Yeah. So if you move around to like here, you can have a decent shot at it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, as usual, I'm going to use the 2 shots from
Yep.
my bow.
Come on, you can do it.
Wait, I'm thinking.
Does the
Yeah,
corpse
okay,
get
I'm still gonna do that.
Oh yeah, the corpse tumbles out.
My first shot is a 22,
That hits.
and for 5 damage.
Okay.
And my second shot is a 25.
That hits.
I'm rolling really well on these. It's to make up for my first
Yes.
one. For 5 again.
All right. All right. It is starting to look quite hurt. It had not taken a lot of damage before that. Talon. Boomerang did not come back.
It did not sigh. Very sad. I will move to be behind the insect creature, but yes,
5, 15, 20, 25.
as long as I'm not in a
Right there.
cloud of debris.
Or do you want to be sort of completely opposite it? Well, so that-
complete is probably safe now, since I don't think there's any
Yeah,
lightning
you are not
or
getting advantage
cries.
because the person on the other side of it is dead or dying. So yes,
Yeah.
but yes, you are right behind it.
Is there a side I couldn't get advantage on?
That was 25, 40. If you go here, you're in the dust cloud.
Yeah, that would be the dust cloud.
Actually, I think the dust cloud. No, but there.
No,
Yeah,
it's there.
Yeah. If you're here, you're in the dust cloud, but you'd have advantage.
Yeah, no. There's fine.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, because he'd also have to make a strength save and be pushed away.
Yes. And I will punch it.
All right.
Why is this funny?
No, it's just funny that you just walk over and you're like, boom! You don't have your boomerang
Finish up
anymore.
punching it off the butt, yes.
So now you just punch it. It's just funny.
It was a 14.
That hits. That's its armor class.
I would love it if you kill it with a punch.
6 damage.
That does not kill it, but it is looking quite hurt.
Now I'm trying to remember. So with bonus actions, if you move, does that
Yep.
count to
Nope.
negate your bonus action?
You have
Still?
movement, action, and bonus action.
All right, then I will punch it again.
Yep.
But not because that's 11.
All right. So yeah, first one crunches into this sort of bone armor around it, and the second one you're sort of shaking your fist off, and you just sort of swing wide. Like, that hurt a little bit more than I thought it would. All right. I was telling Mint, you are right next to this thing now.
Rapier.
All right.
Whoop. Oh, come on!
Oh.
No, this dice that you gave me, man, it's not fun. 9. I obviously miss with the rapier.
Yeah, so
I can't get under its exoskeleton or
here's the
something.
dice jail for you for that one. All right. Anything else you want to do? Do you want to try and move away? It would potentially provoke an opportunity attack if you did.
No, I'm not going to move away.
Alright.
I'm not going to leave Tor.
All right. Tor, give me a death saving throw.
14.
What about 2 weapon fighting?
If you had another sword out, then you could
Oh,
potentially.
then no.
14.
Yeah.
All right. Tor, you are in this strange sort of limbo area. Although it's quite peaceful, there's sort of trees and forest around you, and you hear this very childlike, dragonborn voice just saying, "Hold on, you can make it." As you make your first save.
And they're very quiet. Sorry.
All right. Jacob.
I'm right next to Tor.
Yep.
Okay, flip around the Rubik's Cube again. Smack it right on Tor, and it glows yellow and explodes in light for a second.
Yeah.
Just all my fun thing. Healing touch.
Nice.
For 6 points of damage healed.
All right. So you instantly come back up. You hear this child's voice, and then light, bright, sort of awakens around you. You are in the jaws of this horrible.
Oh, shit.
You are awake to experience it now.
We'll talk counseling after.
So, as I guess the bonus actions have to be on your turn. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll wait until your turn if it's still alive. Anything else for Jacob?
I don't think there's much else I can do,
Alright.
actually.
Leon.
Alright, I'm gonna shoot it.
All right.
Die, bug, die. 16.
Yep, that hits.
Cool. Please
You
roll
can do it.
higher than a
You
1.
can do it.
Yay, 6.
Yay.
Is it dead?
It releases Tor as it dies.
Sweet. Because then for the rest of my action, or for the rest of
Yep.
my actions, how much distance will it take to get to the ground? Like, is it going to cost me 10 or 5?
We'll say 10.
Is there anything else around? Like,
No.
this is, okay. Then, so it's going to cost 10?
Yeah. Yeah, 10. Yeah.
30. Then it doesn't take an action or anything to
You
stop
just cast a
concentrating.
spell, yeah.
So this guy disappears. I disappear in a puff of mist there, appear here, and basically walk over to Tor. And I'm like, I am so sorry.
His one eye is twitching. You weren't sure Dragonborn's eye could twitch.
Yeah. That is the end of combat. How is Tor doing?
Oh, he starts wailing on the body with the hammer.
Okay. I'm going to just point out that there's still a living one that crawled back into its hole, at least.
Yeah, do we see any
One
movement on the
living
ground or anything that indicates that hurt one
Give
first
me
one is
a
coming?
perception check. Anybody who's looking for this?
No, Tor's beating
I
a
will-
dead body.
Yeah.
I will
Yeah, you
also
can
join
do
in the
that.
search.
Yes.
10.
19.
Also 19.
I
noticed that there's dirt. I rolled a 1.
And you're
Sit down,
surprised by it.
Taste the earth. Yeah. This is definitely earth.
Dirt.
Yeah. The two 19s. You're fairly certain you can feel like this barest tremor of something, but you're not quite sure sort of where or what it's doing or where it's going. But yeah, you're pretty sure like it's still around. You're sort of feeling sort of something perhaps burrowing around underneath you.
Do we feel like it is underneath us?
Again, you can't quite tell.
Okay.
You can feel something, but you can't quite. Yeah.
You bargained that we would be able to stay here for the night.
Yep.
So I'm going to recommend that those of us who can, take it upon ourselves to have shifts to see if this thing comes above ground again, so that we can help eradicate the lot of them. Because we saw 3, and we know there were at least 3 then.
I am going to kneel to the ground
Yeah.
and put a hand on the ground, and everyone can hear and feel the ground shaking.
Oh, that's creepy.
I can explain later if you like.
Okay. All right.
Hoping that this insect might get freaked out and not want to be in the trembling ground and pop back out.
Right. Give me an intimidation check with advantage.
Or he thinks it's a mating call.
Yeah.
Don't roll a 1!
How far away were you from Torok when you started that rumbling?
With advantage. See if I can do the 20. No, 23.
Okay. Was that a spell?
Yes.
You were able to discern what spell it was.
Yeah, I rolled a 23 on my Arcana check.
Yeah. Give me another perception check. Just you.
19.
All right. You sort of feel the ground calm. Or more specifically, feel it slowly calm.
Yes. Sort of stopped.
Except where the ground's being pounded by the...
Yeah.
That's right. Thump, thump.
I make the ground shake. The others already doing that.
That's-
All right. You sort of, all wait and sort of wary, but after, 1 minute, 5 minutes, nothing's happening.
Yeah, if we get any indication that this thing might still be around here, I'm definitely just going back up onto the roof.
Yeah. Well, you are invited to sleep in the barn for the evening.
Okay.
There's a nice loft that's got hay all over the place.
The
Nice
loft
and
not on the
soft.
ground.
Yeah, not on the ground. All the goats are on the ground.
Are the goats safe?
Did we save the goats?
You saved all but about 5 of the goats.
Oh. So how many survivors?
We still got a herd of about 20 some odd.
Okay,
And we get to
humans
eat one.
survived.
He thinks there's enough scraps of meat he can scrounge from some of the other ones that maybe
Yeah,
if
he
that's
doesn't want
cooked
to give us
up.
a fresh goat.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's offering us, like, partially eaten by bug goat. Right?
It's already partly cooked. I mean, it's been spilling acid on it.
That's, yeah.
But it's partially eaten by bug goat, is what he's offering us, right?
3.
I mean, make a persuasion check.
Well, I want to make
That's
sure
what
that
the
I
general offer
understand what
was,
he's
but
offering.
maybe you could up the.
Well, so I did also, with using position of privilege, if that can maybe
Yep.
come into play, where he's like, oh, you can sleep in the barn, where I'm like, perhaps everyone else can sleep in the barn. I am not sleeping in the barn.
The stars are nice too.
So I'd like to try and persuade him to let me sleep in the farmhouse.
Okay. Make a persuasion check.
All right. And to perhaps be fed goat that is not partially eaten by disgusting bugs. That is a 17.
17. All right. I will let you have one of the two.
I'm sleeping in the farmhouse.
Okay.
I don't sleep in barn.
You know what? You've helped me out a lot. You saved, my flock and my family from these horrible things. Certainly, you can have our bed for the evening. We can sleep out in the barn.
Okay. You don't have other beds, other accommodations.
And while he's saying that, Turok stops pounding, wanders past, and just goes somewhere and falls over.
Oh, buddy.
Yeah, no, they only have one bed.
Okay. I sleep in their bed.
So that means them and their child are sleeping in the barn with us?
Yep.
Yes, it does.
Did you get them to pay you to sleep in the bed?
Their bed is a straw-stuffed mattress
Oh, I know. But it's a bed.
in a loft area in their house.
But it's a
yes.
bed.
Yep. It is a bed.
My opinion of you has kind of gone down.
Yeah, Guilty rolls her eyes a little bit. She's like, oh, jeez.
He's thankful enough, and especially given two larger people, he will slaughter another goat. So you have the sort of leftover bits for any who might want it, or maybe just his family, and then there's a fresh goat as well that you can have a meal upon. Yeah. Anything else you're doing that evening before you come to rest?
So while I'm in their house. No, it's good. Stop. It's good.
You're gonna
I'm
have
going
your
to,
unseen
because I only need to transfer the 4 hours.
Yeah.
So the rest of the time, I'm basically using mending and prestidigitation to like fix anything that I see that's broken, clean things like cleaner than it's ever been. So when they come back into their house, they're like, "Damn, we should let you sleep in our bed more often." So I'm not just like using their house. I'm like, "Oh, this is an unfortunate reality," but I'm not sleeping in a barn. So I'm going to do something to like repay them for
All right.
what they have done.
All right.
Yeah, I don't even have to sleep. I forgot about that. I
Don't
totally,
even have to sleep.
I totally forgot I don't have to sleep, and I don't have
I
to
will
think
not
about it.
meditate in a barn, Barrett.
I completely forgot about that until right now. Whoops.
That's part of the reason why Mint's opinion of you went down. You're not just-
Their farmhouse is immaculate when they come back.
Yeah, so you've got sort of, you build up sort of a bit of a bonfire outside. You roast the meat and have a nice meal. Anything that you're sort of doing during that time before you all go to bed?
Can anything be done with either the insect acid or the insect shell?
You can make a survival check to see if you can try and, or a medicine check, depending if you're trying to like extract the acid, or survival to potentially sort of try and get some of the useful bits off of it.
I think it's more like survival.
Okay.
8.
Yeah. No, you have trouble with this particular animal. The carapace on it is just a little too interlinked, and you're having trouble.
And the other one is like mashed into mush.
Oh yeah, the other one is pulp.
And Torah could help you with the survival or the medicine stuff, but in this case he's...
You really want nothing to do.
Oh, he's sound asleep at this point. He's curled up in a ball somewhere. He's going for the full long rest.
In
Poor
your
buddy.
rest, you get the sense of this small presence that's sort of curling up next to you, and it comforts you a little.
How large is their pen? Like, do they have a pen for their goats?
They do, but they mostly at night they keep them in a barn.
Oh, so everyone is either going to be in the barn
Yeah.
or in the house?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Then I will take 20 minutes and I will cast the alarm spell twice.
Okay.
One on the entrance of the barn that is audible, once on the entrance of the house that just alerts me in my mind.
All right.
And I let everybody know that that's what's going to happen, and the goats and any of the party and the farm people can come and go without setting off the alarm. But if anything else comes in or out, it sets off an alarm.
Goat friendly. All right.
If anyone's okay with just taking a short rest tonight and wants to keep an eye out for a returning insect or two,
Yeah. Gildy can do that.
all right?
Okay.
I'll take a turn at it.
And Tor can take up to 2 hours watch without interrupting his long rest.
Yeah.
So.
Everybody can take a little bit of sort of watch and just sort of keep.
I took a lot of the 4 gallons of beer that I had created, and so I'm taking a bit of a long rest here.
All right. All right. Here we go. Is Tor actually potentially going to wake up, or is Tor out?
Tor would have to be woken up, but
All right.
yeah.
Is anybody going to wake up the Dragonborn?
I'll wake him up.
All right.
In the morning or before?
Well, after his long rest.
Okay.
All right. So not for a watch then.
Well, if my watch is the one before his, then
Well,
I can
that's
just
the
wake
question:
him
is
up.
are you going to assume he's taking a
I
watch? or are you
don't
gonna
think
let
I'm
him-
going to let you have a watch. I think I'm just going to let you sleep and
Yeah,
wake you up
all
for
right.
breakfast.
Yeah. So the 3 of you apparently share a watch, or not share a watch, but share the watches throughout the night.
Yeah.
It leaves sort of a couple areas that are going to be unwatched unless one of you or 2 of you stay up a little bit longer.
I'll stay up longer.
All right.
Well, and I let everybody know that this
Yeah.
is guarded and
Yeah.
the alarms, and I'm spending 10 minutes
Yeah.
like casting a spell. So
All right. So who's going to stay up a little bit longer? We got Talon.
I'll stay up a little longer too.
All right. Both of you make Constitution saving throws.
11.
5. What is with my dice?
All right. So you are fine. The next day, you have a point of exhaustion the next day.
All right.
And of the 3 of you, Mint, during your watch, I'm assuming you're sort of out of the barn, sort of just keeping an eye out, sort of doing a patrol around things. You do see a large insect-like shape that is slowly creeping towards one of the other dead insect shapes.
Okay.
It's just a shadow in the darkness. We'll say you're sort of, you are sort of asleep in the barns and other things, but yeah, we'll say you're sort of coming around to patrol the house, and you can see one that's sort of creeping up this way towards the dead ones there. Everyone else is in the barn.
Okay.
Except for Leon.
Sorry, I thought that was the barn, and that was the farm.
No,
Oh, no,
the
okay.
smaller one, yes.
Yeah, okay. I thought this one was the, okay.
So it's well within 80 feet, so I could fire a crossbow bolt on it if I have to. So I'm going to observe it for now and see what it's going to do to the dead body.
Yeah, it comes up, and it grabs the dead body and starts dragging it away.
All right, because I want to kill it so that the farm is safe.
Yep.
I'm going to let fly an arrow at it.
All right.
13.
That's to 13.
Just a 13.
All right.
It's not enough again, I'm sure.
No.
I don't know what's with my rolling today.
But you can get another shot off. Yeah.
Well, did I have a short rest before my turn at bat, as it were?
Yes, you would have had a short rest.
I did have a short rest. Okay. So then I can do my second action.
Yeah.
All right. Come on, roll high, damn it. It's a bit better, so that's 15 this
That
time.
hits, yeah.
Okay, thank goodness. All right. And hopefully I severely hurt it. 6 plus 3 is 9?
Yep.
Okay, so I have injured it.
No, it's dead.
That was it?
Yep.
Oh, that was the injured one.
That was the very injured one, so yes.
Nice.
It had not had a chance to heal. It had run away and then just come back.
Okay.
Sorry. And I just realized, so if I'm only meditating, I just need like a corner in the farmhouse, and the family would be able to have their bed, and I wouldn't seem like a such a horrible person. No, but I
You're keeping it.
That's right.
In the middle of the night, you come back out of the bar, it's like, oh, I don't really need the bed.
Makes it even more jerky.
I'm okay with this. If I can do that and have them come back and sleep in their bed, I'm all right.
But now you have to come in
The
and wait
mother
for 'em.
carries the child in, and the father's out, so yes, you just stay in the corner.
Yes.
The child's crying because of how bad of a sleep it was getting. It's okay, don't feel bad.
I use
But
the
there's
sleep
now
spell and put them
creepy-
to sleep.
There's a meditating elf creepily staring at them.
Only for 4 hours, and the rest of the time I'm just like, do-do-do-do-do. Mending, do-do-do-do. Oh, clean that. Ugh. Oh, clean that.
Yeah,
and fix
that's
that.
better.
and have an unseen servant and a mage hand that are just like moving things. And,
Oh yeah, that's not creepy at all. Ghosts. So I come back into the barn and I decide to go to sleep because I don't feel like there's any point in keeping a watch out any longer.
You still have your point of exhaustion. That was sort of at the end of your sort of extended watch. But, and we'll say that was probably close to morning as well.
Yeah.
Also, during this time, Jacob, while you were asleep, you've, for as long as you can remember, had strange dreams when you can remember your dreams. And this one, I'm actually going to pull up my notes here, 1 second. You feel like you're young, you're a boy, you're sort of running through the woods somewhere. Everything's sort of a little hazy as dreams are, but there's sort of trees all around. And then there's a voice that says, "Oh, there you are." And you, again, in sort of weird dream logic, you were sort of realizing you were playing like a hide and seek or a tag sort of game. And there's this other young girl there who was playing with you. 1 sec. Here. Yep. Has sort of elvish features, but not complete elvish. You think maybe like a half-elf girl of some sort. And it's this very pleasant child sort of, yeah, you're playing, you're in a forest, but then sort of in that moment just before you wake up, the other child you're playing with just sort of dissipates and slowly fades into nothing and is gone. And you have this weird moment of, was there somebody there? And you wake up.
At some point in the morning, I think I'm going to try to find a time kind of alone with Mint a bit and kind of just casually, have you ever met my sister? Did I ever tell you I had a sister?
Yes.
No.
He
but we
did
had-
tell
we
you when
didn't?
see it.
Oh. Oh. Okay, sorry. Yeah, you mentioned you had a sister.
Do you know what a relationship's like?
Wouldn't have gone that detail.
Sister? Like brother-sister relationship, I assume.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. And as you wake up the next day, it's a bit overcast, a bit drizzly out, a bit of a miserable morning to sort of get going. The family is quite astonished at the brilliant change that has come over their farmhouse. Their dirt floor has never looked so clean.
Polished dirt now.
It's dirt.
Seen it before.
But it tastes delicious.
Yeah. They're very happy. They even package up some of the leftover goat from the night before. It's not going to feed a whole lot of people. It might feed maybe one person, but it's a little bit that they send with you.
The bug-eaten goat or the non-bug-eaten goat?
Non-bug-eaten goat.
Okay.
They ate the bug-eaten goat. They saved that for themselves.
Just curious.
And as you get moving the next morning, heading towards the Shadow Forest, we are going to end our session there, and we'll pick up next time as our intrepid crew are going to find their way into the Shadow Forest and see what lies there. So, thank you for joining us, and we will see you again next week on the next level. I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah!
We're skipping next week, aren't we?
No, next week-
we're good, and then we're skipping a week.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
So next week, remember to change your clocks back.
Yes.
All right?
Bye, everyone.
Take care. Bye-bye.